Hey guys, what's up? It is Alicia here from aliciacarlson.com. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. And I want to talk to you all about killing the mean girl. And I'm talking about that mean girl that lives inside your head between your ears. We have all had that negative voice, right? That voice that doubts us, that voice that tells us we're not good enough, that we can't do it, that somehow we're not measuring up to somebody else's expectations of us, or perhaps even our own expectations of ourselves. I want to let you know that you are in charge of that voice, right? And if you are listening to that voice, then that is what is getting you in trouble. That is what's keeping you stuck inside of your head. And it's time for you to take that power back, and it's time to start talking back. Okay. If you are the one doing the talking, right? So if you are not just passively listening to the negative voice, the voice of self-doubt, but you are actually talking, you are the one that is infusing your mind with the messages that you want to hear, with the truth that you know to be about you, then you've got to start talking. And a while back, I was listening to this podcast, and this lady was so funny. She was talking about that, and she was talking about how she had to really overcome some self-limiting beliefs about herself and her ability and her potential. And she said something that really stuck out to me. She said, you have to kill that voice, right? If you created that negative voice, which you did, or you've let your experiences, you've let the world around you create that negative voice, you can kill that voice and you can create a new one. You can create a voice that is for you, a voice that believes in you, a voice that is infusing truth instead of just babbling the lies. And I think it's time for us to step up and start being the friend that we need to ourselves, right? For most of us, the things that we tell ourselves, we would never dream of telling somebody else, but for whatever reason, we're okay to sit there and bash ourselves, beat ourselves up. And it's time that we put an end to that. I want to ask you a question. What is that costing you? How much energy and how much time are you spending beating yourself up, wishing that you were better, wishing that you were like so-and-so, wishing that things were different? Wishing isn't going to get us anywhere. It's time to really step up and take that action. On Sundays, I do a live coaching call with the girls in my program, the Mindful Eating Project. And this last week, we were talking all about creating food neutrality, really just ending the food fight and calling a truce with food and with eating. And one of the concepts is creating a neutral belief around food. So that's not looking at any particular food as being a quote unquote good food or a bad food, but just looking at food as being food, right? And instead of judging things based on good or bad and ultimately kind of judging ourselves based on what we eat, we start to look at food as on a spectrum, right? So you have the worst possible thing that you could eat, which might be battery acid. And then you have the best possible thing that you could eat, which I don't know really what that is for you. But you kind of get to decide that. And every time you eat something, you can decide where on the spectrum that falls. And then you have the ability to move it along, make it one step better, right? And for her, this idea of food neutrality was just kind of mind-blowing because when she realized that she was grading food or really judging food and ultimately judging herself based on what she was eating, when she thought that certain foods were bad or certain foods were off limits, she subconsciously kind of put that on herself, that she was bad when she ate those foods. So for her, creating that neutral relationship or perspective around food was huge. But then she struggled with looking at herself and her body in the same way, because for her, she had this image of what a good body looked like. And for her, the body that she's living in right now is not a good body, right? She's judging that and looking at it as being this bad body. But I wanted to point out to her, and I want to point out to you as well, you have the ability to neutralize your thoughts around your body here and now. That doesn't matter if you end up losing weight. That doesn't matter what it looks like right here and right now. You get to decide that the body that you're in right now is an okay body. And the way that you do that is it's by neutralizing your thoughts, right? It's not looking at or judging different bodies based on being good or bad. And for all of us, we judge those things, or we make those judgments based on culture, based on society. And a long time ago, and even now to some extent, being a part of or being accepted into the herd, being accepted into the crowd ensured your survival, right? Because if you were not protected by the herd, if you were not protected by the crowd, you were going to be out there facing the elements, facing the lions or whatever, all by yourself. Well, we don't have those same kinds of threats, but we still have that inherent need to feel like we belong, to feel like we're accepted. And somewhere along the line, somebody decided for us what a quote unquote acceptable body was and what a quote unquote unacceptable body was. And so we're still kind of judging ourselves and we're still judging one another based on that, trying to figure out where we fit in society, where we fit in culture. But we don't have to do that anymore because our survival isn't dependent on necessarily being accepted by the crowd, right? We don't have to worry about, facing lines or facing whatever. Most of our fears, most of our anxieties live right there inside of our heads. So I want you to just think about how it is that you might be looking at food, how it is that you're looking at your body, and are you assigning those labels, the good and the bad? Are you listening to that mean girl talk all day long? Or are you ready to develop a new voice inside your head, become the friend that you need so that you can become the woman that you were created to be, so that you can do the things that you were created to do? Because I guarantee to you, none of that is about you beating yourself up. None of that is about you comparing yourself to somebody else. It is about you stepping in, owning the space that you were given, really owning the assignments that you have today in your life, whether that's being a mom, being a wife, being a teacher, working, not working, volunteering, whatever that is. You've got to step in and own that space. And the only way you can do that is by deciding that here and now, you are good enough. Here and now, the body that you're in is enough. And it doesn't need to be changed. It doesn't need to be fixed. And it doesn't need to meet anybody else's standards or expectations. So consider neutralizing your thoughts around food and your body, squash that mean girl voice, and start creating that friend that you desperately need. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much again for hanging out with me. If you are at all curious about the work that I'm doing, I want to encourage you to reach out to me either in my inbox, or you can shoot me a message, or whatever you want to do, however you want to reach out. Let me know how this helped you. Please feel free to share this message with a woman that you feel like desperately needs to hear. It's time to stop the mean girl. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will talk to you again real soon. Thanks so much.